First Class Productions.
Previously on GFrom Reviews.
The big question is, should you go back to the original Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures now that the remastered version has been out for over 2 years? Well, it depends. Cause guess what? Not only is there a remastered version, no. There's a sequel!
And now on GFrom Reviews.
Alright, that's it. I'm done with this game. I'd rather press my face against a hippopotamus's butt while it muck spreads. That's when a hippo takes a shit. Rather than allowing the shit to drop from its anus, it presses its tail against its ass crack, waving it back and forth, shredding the shit all over the place. That's how much fun this game is. It's like putting a turd in a fan or a bandsaw. You just don't do it. Hey! What the fuck is wrong with you? Don't you think there are enough AVGN ripoffs out there? You don't even have pens, and you stole those lines too. My shirt doesn't have front pockets. You don't even qualify as a ripoff. Take off that damn shirt and grow your beard back. This is ridiculous. But I'm a nerd too. Yeah, a nerd, but not the nerd. Aww. Well, I guess I'm back to being myself again. So where were we?
The Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures was a pretty damn good game in my opinion. Needless to say, I was hyped when a sequel was announced. The Angry Video Game Nerd 2 ASSimilation was released in 2016 on Steam.
This time I didn't wait a year and got it 2 days after its release. My expectations were pretty damn high.
Looking at my Steam account shows that I only played the game for about 16 hours as opposed to the 39 hours I had played the first game before my review. That's weird because I loved it.
I haven't played it in 4 years though, so I'm excited. How does it compare to the first game, and is the original version of AVGN 2 worth getting today now that the remastered version was released in 2020? Let's grab our zapper and find out.
GFrom, the gamer, the legend, he's come to show you the way in this world of games. GFrom Reviews.
The second game supports different types of controllers, so of course I'm going with that. It has 4 difficulty settings this time, and once again I'm going with normal. Mike Matei, Shitpickle and the Bullshit Man are having some beers while suddenly a beam of light strikes the earth and turns it into a shitty game. Well, everyone except the nerd.
Was he the only one on the entire planet who happened to be sleeping on his basement floor? Sounds like something I would do.
We start in the nerd room. A monster appears, we shoot it and it turns back into Mike. Everyone else we shoot dies, so he's one lucky motherfucker. Mike is this game's Naggy, explaining the controls and stuff. The nerd quickly gets tired of it and again gets meta, making fun of tutorials in general. With the help of loafers we can slide down walls in this game. A great addition that works really well in my opinion. The controls are a little less stiff than before. Jumping just feels better. The secondary weapons have been replaced for the most part. Now we have powerful F-bombs. Wait, what's this? Oh, it's the Nostalgia Critic. As I said before, the first thing I ever saw the AVGN in was their feud. I'm kinda nerding out here. The critic found the first piece of the Sex Force and wants all the glory for saving the world by getting all 6 of them. The nerd on the other hand just wants all his stuff back, which the NC has scattered all over the world. Bastard. This is the first mini-boss and it's over within seconds. By the way, kegs refill our energy. In the end we blow up our own house. Like one does. The unnecessary tutorial, as it's called, does a nice job of teaching us the new mechanics in a comedic way. Still, it's just a tutorial. Once again we have limited lives. This time it's 20 as opposed to 30 in the previous game. The difference is that the life counter gets reset to 20 after finishing a stage. That's much better. Almost makes the life system pointless, but whatever. In contrast to the original, AVGN 2 has a map screen kinda like Super Mario Land 2. Finishing a stage without dying turns the nerd icon into gold. There's no reward for beating all stages without dying, sadly. There are 5 worlds with 3 levels and a boss fight each. We can visit the first level of each world in any order we like. Beating the first level in a world unlocks the second and so on. I have a preferred order again, so let's start with Board James 1, Hippo Hell.
If you know AVGN, you're probably familiar with Board James.
Some might say that series is even better. I'm not on that team, but I love it nonetheless. This world is based on board games, as you might have guessed. Dominoes, Hungry Hippos, Mousetrap, you name it. New in this game is the addition of collectible NES cartridges with the letters NERD. Getting all of them gives you absolutely nothing except a Steam achievement. I'm going for them anyway since I like the challenge. The second half of the level has us hanging from a helicopter while avoiding all sorts of hazards. And yes, the death blocks are back. At the end we find our second power-up, the Glove of Power. Now we can break certain blocks. Not the death blocks, sadly. This stage, like most of them, is very short but fun and colorful as hell. Next up is Nerd Gaiden 1, Hang Dong 97, a reference to both Ninja Gaiden and Hong Kong 97. The visuals are so appealing with their flashy neon style. It even makes Shit Pickle look stylish. We get attacked by ninja blades, flying sushi and whatever these things are supposed to be. Wall jumping gives the game a new dynamic, having to jump up between obstacles. The third power-up is very well hidden. It's the Fukunami, which looks like a laser scope and lets us see invisible platforms like Mike could in the first title. This thing will come in handy, trust me. Forgot to mention that this power-up gives us a spread shot until we get hit. In my opinion, this stage is very challenging as it tests our reflexes and has us on our toes constantly. It's one of the best. Monster Madness 1, Ghouls and Garbage is based off of Cinemassacre's Monster Madness and plays with horror cliches. The entire stage is in black and white with flickering TV static. Some platforms disappear when you stand on them and Chainsaw Jimmy makes a return. I find the bats to be infuriating at times. Having the laser scope makes this part a joke. There's even an underwater section, something the first game was lacking entirely. Control's quite good. By jumping up this wall we not only get a cartridge but also a cape. Now we can glide briefly. It's my favorite power-up. All in all, this stage isn't as difficult as it might seem at first. I'm not the biggest fan of the visuals, but I appreciate that they tried something different. Browntown 1, Dookie Dookie Panic is inspired by the Turtles NES game. By breaking the blocks in the beginning, we get to another power-up, the Turbo Pad. By holding fire, we can now charge up our shot. I rarely used the charge shot, but it's nice to have. The gimmick of this level is that the water level changes constantly. Avoiding the mines requires patience. Since this takes place in a sewer, of course living turds are out for us. Is that Big Daddy from BioShock? This part is quite tricky. All that trouble for a D. It's a rather slow level, but that's typical for a water stage. I like the challenge of navigating past obstacles. There's only one power-up missing, but we can't get to it yet. We have to beat 2 more stages. First is Area 52-1, Shitty Security Breach. This entire section is loosely based off the AVGN movie from 2014. I've seen it twice and thought it was okay. That's the alien from the movie. It reminds me a bit of Future Fuckballs 2010 with all these light beams. The stage messes with your head in various ways. First, these arrow buttons switch up the gravity. It takes a while to get used to thinking in ways the game requires us to progress. Then there are portals which we can both jump and shoot through. Enemies can shoot through them too. This shit right here is stressing me out. It's all about timing. Dodging lasers with gravity changing constantly is exhausting. It's one of the best stages in my opinion. It doesn't hold your hand and challenges the mind while offering amazing visuals. A clear highlight for me. Slide Down the Shaft follows and is exactly what the title suggests. The entire level has us make our way down while staying in the middle to avoid the lasers at the top and bottom. It's not as easy as it may look. There are death blocks on the walls, robots firing at us, and the nerd slides down faster than the screen scrolls. The disappearing death blocks are a great challenge for sure. The second level of each world has us face a mini-boss, and here it's the nostalgia critic again. He's pretty weak and having the laser scope helps too. It's not the last we see of him. I usually don't like auto-scrolling levels in platformers, but this one is pretty damn intense and I love it. Stage 3 of Area 52 is appropriately called Why, I hear you ask? Well, the gravity flips every time we jump. It completely changes how we approach the level. It takes some getting used to, I can tell you that. With the help of the laser scope, we get access to the final power-up. If we manage to get past the death blocks. Phew! It's the Uber scope that has more powerful shots. Now we're geared up to the fullest. It looks ridiculous, but it's just like in the Super Mario Bros. 3 episode and we wouldn't want it any other way. Having to deal with portals under these circumstances is messed up and I've lost so many lives here. You have to get it just right. One more checkpoint would have been nice. The final stretch almost made me wet my pants the first time I played it. It feels so rewarding to beat it. This is by far the hardest of the regular stages, but also one of the most spectacular. I love the challenge that comes with it, and the flipping gravity is a cool concept. With all the power-ups equipped, it doesn't matter in which order we play the remaining stages. Since we're here, let's play the final Area 52 chapter, Onwards and Backwards. The fourth level is always a boss fight. Here we face the antagonist of the movie, Dark Onward, a guy without legs sitting in a tank. The first phase is harmless. Avoiding rockets and keeping distance from the dude isn't a tall order. We can use the portals to our advantage. Just don't get too close to the edge of the screen. Then Onward turns into a fucking scorpion, just like Darth Vader in the Famicom Star Wars game. It's a nice reference, I have to say. What I don't like is that we have to wait for the transformation every single time. Cause this phase is pretty brutal. He can only be hit in the head, making us button mash while jumping in addition to avoiding all this shit. It's one of the harder boss battles, but not impossible by any means. Good fight with the exception of the transformation on repeated attempts. Area 52 is exceptional and a worthy contender for my favorite chapter. Let's return to Board James. You'll Get Caught Up is another auto-scrolling level, this time horizontal. We fly around on this thing from Crossfire and shoot everything in sight. It's absolute chaos. It gets a bit calmer in the middle, but damn, there's so much happening at once. The mini-boss is Board James himself. I love how Mike and Bootsy's dead bodies litter the floor. Board James is fucked up, man. He's like the critic, except he has a knife and jumps higher. This might be the shortest stage and it's over quickly. Unless you die a lot, of course. It's not one that I enjoyed that much because I get sensory overload. Toy Car Turmoil is back to regular platforming and it's better that way. It's quite similar to the first stage, just a tad more difficult I'd say. The part with the spikes and the floating pinballs has cost me several lives over the years. What sets this level apart is a ride on a toy car. Hey, it's the panda from Plumbers Don't Wear Ties! What an obscure yet classic reference. We don't do much except jump, but it breaks up the pace. I wish the car ran a little faster. For me, this is the strongest of the Board James levels because it has fun platforming and a neat little driving section. Bonanza of Balls has us fight against, you guessed it, Mr. Bucket. I mean Mr. Fuck It, of course. This pervy bucket spits balls at us and he smacks the ground to make even more balls rain down. As long as you walk under him every time he jumps, you'll beat him in no time. It's by far the easiest boss in the game. Funny, but a bit underwhelming. The Board James levels would be among my favorite stages in the game. The large amount of auto-scrolling keeps them from being top tier, but they hold a fond place for me. Back to Monster Madness. Saturated Shitfest starts in black and white again, but it has color buttons scattered across the level. This makes hidden platforms appear. That's actually a pretty neat concept, even though the nerd hates it. Makes it visually more interesting. Next to why, this is the stage I've had the most problems with in the past. With the laser scope, certain parts are much easier. The section with the rotating blade on the floor in particular has given me grief. Getting the cartridge without taking damage is a bitch. The critic challenges us for a third time and he actually killed me. What an asshole. How dare he become a competent fighter? This is probably my favorite of the Monster Madness levels, but that doesn't mean much. It's just not an appealing setting for me personally. Deadly Danger Dungeon is a board game James created when he was a kid. This stage is not as hard as his masochistic creation, but it's no cakewalk either. We get some color, but a limited view. This stage is filled with falling stone faces reminiscent of the ones from the Super Mario games. These ones look a lot crazier though. Remember this shit from
Boo! Haunted house.
God, I hate it. Especially when the stones come out of nowhere. The E is one of the easiest cartridges to miss. I had to backtrack to get it, which was a complete bitch. The D is pretty obscure too. This level is challenging for the wrong reasons, I think. It forces us to be quick in a stage that's designed for a slow journey. This results in quite a few trial and error deaths. I never look forward to this one. Requiem for a Werepire is the boss stage of this spooky world. Sir Werepire resembles Dracula from the Castlevania games, particularly Symphony of the Night with the dialogue and Simon's Quest with the attacks minus the underpants. He goes down surprisingly fast but turns into a werewolf. All it does is slide across the floor on its butt. So weird. It too dies quickly, but no, it turns into a vampire werewolf knight. This might be the most challenging phase until you figure out the pattern. Killing it turns it into a vampire werewolf night ghost. Jesus Christ, when does it end? This is the easiest phase. Then it turns into a vampire, werewolf, night ghost, zombie. And that's where the nerd just tells him to fuck off. I laughed so hard when I saw this the first time. It's my favorite boss of the game because it's so ridiculous. Sure, it's one of the easier ones, but I don't care. In total, I've got to say that the Monster Madness levels are my least favorite part of the game. Not because they're bad, but because I don't really enjoy the premise that much. Off we go to Nerd Gaiden Act 2. Raw Fish Rampage is yet another auto-scrolling level, but this time horizontally and on foot. Again, it looks so stunning, not to mention glowy. For a majority of the stage, we run across conveyor belts while avoiding sushi. Then we jump across umbrellas that float down as we stand on them. The laser scope makes the game a bit too easy at times. The most stressful part has us jump between moving conveyor belts while avoiding ninja stars and shooting at these yellow flying fuckers. God damn. Multitasking at its finest. For a fourth time, the Nostalgia Critic challenges us. Same stuff, just with conveyor belts. For an auto-scrolling stage, this is not bad. In fact, it's surprising how much I like it, especially the umbrellas. Sush Up is by far the most insane experience you'll get in this game. Why? Just look at it! A giant tanuki with impressively large nuts. The best part? His balls make enemies explode. Those are some mighty testicles if I've ever seen them. A quick Google search showed me that they actually have those in Japanese mythology. So now you know what Mario is missing. These nuts! Sadly, it's yet another auto-scrolling level, but in this scenario I can't complain too much. It's mindless button mashing and nut smashing goodness. At the end we face Scrotoro, who's pretty simple. Get the D before you kill him or you won't have another chance. I don't know what to say. Whoever came up with this is either a genius or seriously needs help. Probably both. Cat 209 Attacks is a boss fight against Ed 209 from RoboCop with a cat face. This battle was incredibly hard on my first attempts when the game came out. You have to jump on conveyor belts while avoiding sushi and bullets. If you're terrible at juggling lots of challenge, this might be awful for you. I've gotten better at it, but still consider it one of the harder bosses. It's a satisfying fight. By the way, this means fuck you nerd in binary. The Nerd Gaiden levels are the highlight of the game for me next to Area 52. The vibrant visuals combined with the crazy gameplay equal a phenomenal time. All that's missing are the remaining Browntown levels. God Kelp Us references the infamous water level from TMNT by having you swim past electrical kelp. Thankfully, it's not as brutal as in the NES game. In fact, we can turn off the electricity halfway through the level. Death blocks are everywhere. The mid-boss is the nerdy turd from the Magnavox Odyssey episode.
I cloned him for my own shit.
He's by far the shittiest and easiest boss. Quite an average, forgettable level. Crappy Croc Conundrum turns up the intensity as we have to escape from a giant crocodile. The whole stage takes place underwater in the dark. This makes it hard to see at times. It sure is harrowing to swim past all this shit with a monster reptile behind your back. As long as you keep spamming the shoot button, you're fine, because this level is ridiculously short. Had the stage been a little longer, it could have been a promising entry. This way it's over faster than you can say
Super Mecha Death Cries 2000 BC version 4.0 beta, bitch!
In Battle Frogs, we face some kind of weird mix-up between the turtles and Battletoads. The names of the frogs are classic.
Why such disgusting names? How about herpes, genital warts, and gonorrhea?
First Herpes jumps around. After some hits, genital warts come swinging down on a chain, and then gonorrhea tries to run us over with a skateboard. They go down super fast, but the fight is not over. Oh shit, it's Master Sphincter, who dies with one hit. Did not expect that. Although too simple, this is probably the best part of Browntown. The levels are decent for what they are, but are missing the certain fun factor many of the other stages have. With all the pieces of the Sex Force collected, we unlock the penultimate level, Final Tower 1, Virtual Insanity. Yes, you're seeing correctly, the whole thing looks like a Virtual Boy game. Fun fact, I played the Virtual Boy in a video game museum in Stockholm in 2014. As awful as the concept for the machine is, it makes for a really cool visual experience in AVGN 2. This is without a doubt not only the longest but also the hardest stage in the game. There's no competition. It's a combination of all sorts of enemies and hazards from the previous levels, and the difficulty turned up to 11. I remember when I got here the first time. It drove me insane. Sure, there are a bunch of checkpoints, but most sections between them are relentless. Meanwhile, I've played it so often that I'm doing okay. I still die from time to time, but I don't give a fuck because it's so intense that I just can't quit. It might be the only stage I haven't been able to beat without dying, I'm not sure. I don't think I ever made it. At the end we face the nostalgia critic once again, who still wants all the glory for saving the world. He's just as simple as before. Blowing up this virtual madhouse is extremely rewarding. Although it can be frustrating, I still love this level as it's the ultimate test of my AVGN skills. What awaits us in Final Tower 2? ? It's Death Morphix from the AVGN movie. That's just a horrible name, I'm sorry. The nostalgia critic sacrifices himself and does no damage to the thing. So it's up to the nerd himself to kill it. At first we need to shoot its hands. Then he shoots mini Morphixes at us. A fucking magnet starts pulling us to the left. I didn't know the NES accessories were magnetic. Anyway, I was surprised how difficult this fight was. The main problem for me is that we constantly have to mash the shoot button while avoiding shit. It gets tiresome after a while and my hands start to hurt. When you die, you know all that button mashing was for nothing and it's going to hurt some more. Other people might feel differently, but I'm not as great at this as I used to be. Don't get me wrong, it's not as hard as the fight against Fred Fox in the first title. I've beaten it before and I'm going to do it again. Ah, come on, I was so close.
I'd rather wait in line at a shoe store on Black Friday.
Let's try again. Oh god. Yes! Yes! I beat Death Morphix, that motherfucker! Holy shit! That was intense. There are two endings, depending if we got all the gear. Well, thanks to us, everything turns back to normal and the nerds piss drunk on the floor again. Like it should be. I don't get what this is all about though. I beat the game in 1 hour and 44 minutes with 78 deaths.
Like last time, I want to talk about the music for a moment.
The first game had an outstanding soundtrack and the sequel is no different. Sam Beddoes is the man. The title track alone lets you know what you're in for. Most stages have their own track, which means there's a lot more music to keep our ears busy. The songs within a chapter have similarities, but manage to sound completely different at the same time. A good example for this are the Area 52 levels. Same melody, but every version's arrangement sounds unique and has a different energy to it. There are a few tracks I don't care about that much. While the Monster Madness tracks are atmospheric and set the mood quite nicely, it's not really what I want from a game like this. Also, I don't need poop and farting noises in my video game soundtrack. I guess it makes sense in a game about a dude who takes a crap on pretty much everything, so I digress. When you're underwater, the music gets all muffled, which is a nice effect. The problem is that you can barely hear the songs anymore. That's especially a problem in the crocodile level because it completely takes place underwater. The song is so epic, why can't we hear it in all its beauty? And while I'm all for super energetic songs, sometimes it's too much. You'll Get Caught Up is an example where it's just too loud and noisy. Like, turn it down a bit, will ya? Other than that, it's just awesome all around. The Virtual Insanity song is a remix of the LJN level from the first game. It's just as epic. The boss battles have a tremendous score as well. I like whenever the AVGN theme is hinted at. Special shoutout goes to Hang Dong 97, which includes a vocal sample from the Hong Kong 97 song. Pure genius.
Because there are so many great tracks, I decided to rank my personal favorites, but only one song per chapter. So nerds and nerdettes, here are my top 5 songs from the Angry Video Game Nerd 2, ASSimilation.
Number 5. Fitting for a level about board games from our childhood, this song is uplifting and puts a smile on my face. It's lighthearted and innocent gaming goodness. Number 4. Although there are some farting noises here and there, it's not as obvious as in Dookie Dookie Panic. This track is very energetic and makes me want to get out of the water so I can hear it more clearly. Number 3. The Area 52 songs were the hardest to choose from, as all 3 are masterpieces. In the end, I'll have to go with Shitty Security Breach because it isn't as overblown as the other 2. I just love how this version sounds. Number 2. The tutorial kicks you in the nuts and teabags you for 5 minutes straight because this track just knocks it out of the park. It instantly gets me into the mood to play this game. So awesome. Number 1. This track manages to make an auto-scroller into one of the most amazing gaming experiences I've ever had. It drives so hard and keeps it going throughout its entirety. It might be the best track of all the AVGN games in my opinion.
Let's wrap it up.
In many ways, AVGN 2 is a step up from its predecessor. For one, the controls have been improved. Jumping feels better and the new moves make it an all-around smoother ride. I wish you could turn off the upgrades because some of them make the game too simple at times. Not collecting them isn't an option because I want the good ending. I'm not sure if I prefer them over the hidden characters we got before. I guess it's nice that they switched it up. I like the map and that we can play the worlds in any order we like. Having 3 levels per section allows for more variation, which works wonderfully in Area 52. My main gripe with this is that most levels are really short. Like you can beat some of them in under 2 minutes. Sure, the first time around I died multiple times on most of them, but with some practice you'll rush through them. Fewer auto-scrollers would have been great too. That said, many of the levels are a blast to play and I loved my time with it.
Why didn't I play it as often as the first? Because I could beat this one. Having the lives reset after every level is an addition I strongly welcome.
For hardcore fans, there's always a higher difficulty to try out. For me, normal is what I need. The bosses are hit or miss. Some are way too easy, while others are pretty damn vicious. I like the typical AVGN humor and don't mind that they removed the rants after each death. They got rid of the unnecessary cameos and just focused on his main rival, the Nostalgia Critic. A nice touch that longtime fans might appreciate. The visual presentation is a step up from the first game. The different styles help the levels stand out more. I also think the soundtrack is an improvement, which was a difficult task with the bar set that high. It's impressive that both games were pretty much programmed and composed by one guy. Which game do I prefer? I'm afraid I can't really answer that. Both are great for different reasons. I can replay each of them any day and come back to the soundtracks on a regular basis.
I guess if I had to pick one, I'd go with the second because it plays better and has more music. The big question is, should you get this game? If you like old school platformers in AVGN, then I'd say yes. There's only one problem. There's a remastered version. No!
Hey everyone, this is GFrom. Thank you so much for watching episode 4 of season 3. Stay tuned for the final part of this mini-series and be sure to check out my new short music video about my love for Assholvania. Cause I love Assholvania. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.